broadcasting live to the world, the Kart Racing Network. Pier Luc Ouellette of Canada is on the right. Nicholas Latifi, fellow Canadian, on the left. A 21-lap race for the DD2 Opens. And we're racing, and Latifi dives across the track nicely into second place. And Pier Luc Ouellette jumping into the lead from pole. And already we've got some drivers having a collision on turn one. Jason Pringle has shaded slowly away, I think. Maybe he'll feel a bit disappointed about that. But looks like Canada 1 and 2, which is Ouellette and Latifi. I think that is Jari Huttunen in third place, possibly. Jason Pringle in fourth, if I read that correctly. But Ouellette already putting a kart length between himself and the pursuing pack. Won the world title here in 2007, completely unbeaten. Hasn't gone through this event unbeaten. Beaten in one of the heats. Oh, and that's a lovely piece of driving by Pringle into third place. Pringle getting himself into third place as we come on to the opening lap, the end of the opening lap. Pier Luc Ouellette is your race leader from Nicholas Latifi. Jason Pringle now third, having gone past Jari Huttunen, and Eugene Britz in fifth place. The drivers that you see are those that I've just called. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ouellette, Latifi, Pringle, Huttunen and Britz. Well, I said that Ouellette had put a little bit of a gap between himself and Latifi. It is a little bit, maybe at times a full kart length, but by and large, around about 3/4 of a kart length. Pringle in second place, Pringle in third place, looking to go second, and Huttunen of Finland behind him. And Britz in that very dark race suit on the back of these, and Pringle moving down again to go second, and he does go second, and Huttunen goes through, and that's a disaster for Latifi. He's thrown away 2 if not 3 places. Well, not expected. Pier Luc Ouellette leads, Jason Pringle now second, Jari Huttunen third, Nicholas Latifi spilt 2 places there in fourth place, and it's Kenneth Hildebrandt, the former junior champion, in fifth place. But these front 3, Pier Luc Ouellette, Jason Pringle and Jari Huttunen, are in front of Nicholas Latifi. Our slow motion replay once again showing how Pringle got out of the toe onto the inside, took a place, and Nicholas Latifi is just a spectator as they go, as Pringle went through, and so did Huttunen, and in some ways lucky not to spill a place to Hildebrandt of Estonia. We're on lap 3 of a 21-lap race. This is turn 8. The right-hander onto turn 9 brings us back onto the home straight after the dogleg. There's the dogleg. We straighten up and set off for lap 4. Ouellette getting himself a little bit of a rattle over the ridge at the start of the lap here. Pringle looking menacing in second place. Huttunen of Finland in third place. And those front 3, tiny gap between them. Well, maybe that gap has been closed. Latifi fourth, Hildebrandt fifth. These are the guys we're sticking with. Pier Luc Ouellette of Canada leading Jason Pringle, and Jari Huttunen. In fourth place, Nicholas Latifi, and in fifth place, Kenneth Hildebrandt. Hildebrandt just looking if there was anything doing on the inside. The answer was no. And there goes the move by Pringle, and Pringle takes the lead. Pringle takes the lead at the end of the 4th lap. Pringle of Australia in front of Ouellette of Canada, and Huttunen of Finland now in 3rd place. Jason Pringle over the ridge, pulling a little bit further away actually, went far quicker through turn 1 and turn 2. I know our television dimensions can sometimes be a little bit deceptive, but that looks like a 1.5 kart lengths that Pringle has pulled out over Ouellette. Huttunen still running in 3rd place. 4th place Latifi, 5th place Hildebrand, and Mark Murray has caught the train at the front. Here's our slow motion replay. Oh, and Ouellette looked and saw it coming and gave the left hand motion saying, yes, you're going to go through, and when you go through, I'll dive back in 2nd place. Never seen that happen in slow motion quite like that. Pier Luc Ouellette just recognising the inevitability of the situation. Ooh, that wasn't inevitable. Looking as if he might, and there goes 4th to 3rd, which is Nicholas Latifi, but that was a brave effort. Well, let's just use the word brave. Jason Pringle leads, Pier Luc Ouellette 2nd, Nicholas Latifi 3rd, Kenneth Hildebrand 4th, and Jari Huttunen a little bit unfortunate to be back in 5th place, and he's being harried by Mark Murray in 6th. Jason Pringle, the green colour in his race suit apparent, the primarily white but with red flashings from Ouellette in 2nd place. These are the two that you see on screen at the moment. Behind them is the next Canadian, which is Nicholas Latifi. So right now it's Australia 1, Canada 2, Canada 3, moving down towards Marshall Point 8, the hairpin where we see so many of these late gasp moves. Jason Pringle leads, Pier Luc is 2nd, Nicholas Latifi is 3rd. They come towards us and set off on lap 7. Pringle is 0.2 of a second clear of Ouellette, so you'd have to say that not only is Pringle in the lead, but that looks a pretty handy advantage to hold at this stage. We're at the start of lap 7, coming up to the 1/3 race distance. That means there's a lot of racing still to go, but if you wanted to be somewhere right now, you'd want to be where Jason Pringle is. Pringle, Ouellette, Latifi, the 1, 2, 3. Those are the 3 in shot now on our Kart Racing Network pictures. Australia have 1,311 points. Canada have 1,243. And on this basis, Australia will win the Nations Cup if Pringle continues to win. Well, Mark Murray going forward and gaining a place there. Mark Murray going past Damien Ward of Australia. So Mark Murray going from 7th to 6th. Some good scraps in the top 10. Not least that move 7th to 6th, but certainly what we're looking for is Jason Pringle to be reeled in by the field. Otherwise we get a runaway victory. The reeling in is on behalf of a good race. Not that I've got anything against Jason Pringle. I'm a big admirer of his. He leads, just going out of shot to the left, coming into the shot from the extreme left. The green helmet, the green on the helmet, and the green on the race suit is Pringle of Australia. The 2 Canadians behind him are Pier Luc Ouellette 2nd and Nicholas Latifi 3rd. They pulled a fair little margin away from the 4th place driver. That's Jari Huttunen 4th, Kenneth Hildebrand 5th, Mark Murray 6th, Damien Ward 7, George Van 8, Kyle Herder 9, and Jules Jimkowiak 10. So 3 Canadians in the top 10. The 2 that we're looking at now are 2nd place Pier Luc Ouellette and 3rd place Nicholas Latifi. But between them, they need to work to get back to the Australian. Pringle's got 0.18 of a second at the end of lap 8, past the 1/3 race distance. This is lap 9. And Pringle, who's far from got the race won, has nevertheless got himself in a handy place. 0.186 was the advantage. Looks a fraction more than that potentially, although these are DD2s going that much quicker. No, it is a 1.5 length advantage. A race pictures showing you the really good racing behind them, but quite properly we're staying with these front 3. And again, I say to you, although these television pictures can foreshorten distances, Jason Pringle looks to be pulling out an advantage on the two Canadians. He had 0.27 of a second at the end of lap 9. This is lap 10, and I would call that a couple of kart lengths lead. Pier Luc Ouellette getting himself a little detached from Nicholas Latifi. These are the three at the front, moving down onto the border straight, the longest straight on the circuit. Pass straight, it ends with the left-hand hairpin. Pringle not under any kind of threat to be passed at that point, because he's got at least a length and a half and probably 2 lengths as we set off on lap 11. Over the ridge, you can see our television pictures clearly illustrating how that ridge is placed just after the start line under the gantry. Jason Pringle, pick him out by the green, the lime green at the top of his helmet and elsewhere on the kart and on his race suit. Pick him out also as the driver who's got 3 lengths lead on the former champion Pier Luc Ouellette. Pringle, oh, and Ouellette seemed to go a little bit quicker into that corner, maybe took a few inches away. No, he has closed, hasn't he? Ouellette attacked that corner, not in a position to make a pass. Now then, when a driver looks over his shoulder, that can be a prelude to making a move. I look over my shoulder to see if I'm under any threat from anybody. Pier Luc Ouellette, is he going to make something dramatic happen here? This is the start of lap 12, we're into the second half of the race. Well, 0.205 is the advantage, so 0.2 of a second in favour of Jason Pringle over Pier Luc Ouellette. Nicholas Latifi is still in 3rd place. That's Jari Huttunen in 4th place that you see. Behind him is Kenneth Hildebrand, 5th. Mark Murray running 6th. Damien Ward running 7th. All of these in shot. George Van of Estonia 8th. Kyle Herder 9th. And it's Roy Bakker of the Netherlands completing the top 10. Coming down towards the end of lap 12, and another look over the shoulder by Pier Luc Ouellette. Not in a position to make a move, I would suggest. This is Kenneth Hildebrand, Mark Murray and Damien Ward that we were watching, and that looks like Mark Murray picking up a place, and that at the expense of Kenneth Hildebrand. Kenneth Hildebrand slipping back awkwardly there. Kenneth Hildebrand dropping from 5th to 8th. Mark Murray now 5th, Damien Ward 6th, George Van 7, Kenneth Hildebrand 8, Kyle Herder 9 and Roy Bakker 10. This is the scrap we're looking at on screen at the moment. Always keeping an eye on what's going on in front. Jason Pringle still holding the advantage over Pier Luc Ouellette. Behind him, the green kart there you see is Damien Ward in 6th place. Behind him, George Van of Estonia in 7th and Kenneth Hildebrand of Estonia in the identical race colours. And the last of the drivers to turn that corner was Kyle Herder of Canada. So 3 Canadians in the top 9. Christophe Boisclair is running 11th, so making 4 Canadians in the top 11. Coming round to start of lap 13, Jason Pringle goes over the ridge, turns left at turn 1, in front of the grandstand, the exit at turn 2, and Pringle, his margin 0.169, so Ouellette has taken 3/100ths of a second off Pringle on that 13th lap. 3/100ths of a second were taken off there. Let's have a look who's done the fast lap. 55.61 for Jason Pringle, 55.54 for Pier Luc Ouellette, but 55.400 by Mark Murray. Mark Murray in 5th place is the fastest driver on the circuit at the moment. We're on lap 14, heading towards the 2/3 race distance. Jason Pringle leads. Pier Luc Ouellette in 2nd place, putting a little bit, he keeps looking behind, doesn't he, for where Nicholas Latifi is, but Latifi isn't too close to Pier Luc Ouellette, but then Pier Luc Ouellette's not close enough to Jason Pringle to make any kind of a move. This is lap 15, heading towards the 3/4 race distance. Now, Pier Luc Ouellette getting closer. This is where it's getting serious, isn't it? Jason Pringle still holding the answers, and Ouellette wriggles through and takes the lead. Didn't see that one coming, and I don't think Jason Pringle did. Well, been looking over his right shoulder to see where Latifi is, and Latifi goes through. And it's been a disastrous lap for Pringle. Pringle goes from first to third. He looks over his shoulder. The Nations Cup on the line as well as the championship. Jason Pringle doesn't want to give the Nations Cup to Canada with a 1-2 for them here. This is your race leader, Pier Luc Ouellette, setting off on lap 16. Latifi in second place, Pringle in third, and Latifi makes a bid, but not able to make it stick. Well, there's no team racing orders between the Canadians, is there? Because that was a serious attempt by Nicholas Latifi to take the lead off Pier Luc Ouellette. Third place, Jason Pringle. Fourth place, Jari Huttunen. Behind Jari, and there's a slow motion replay of that beautiful little manoeuvre and Jason Pringle looks over his shoulder almost as if to say, I reckon I'm going to lose another place. Well, he did. He's in a podium place at the moment, but he's under threat from fourth place driver Jari Huttunen. We'll stay with these front four. That's second and third that you see at the moment. That's all four of them. Ouellette leads. Nicholas Latifi in second place, Jason Pringle in third place, Jari Huttunen in fourth, moving away for the 17th time in a 21-lap race. Ouellette, Latifi, and Pringle looking for a way past. If Pringle's going to win this one, he doesn't want any distance to go between Ouellette and Latifi. And I'm certainly not suggesting that Latifi's riding shotgun. That move where he attempted to drive past Pier Luc Ouellette a couple of laps ago tells us that he's racing for real. Nicholas Latifi would like to be the ROTAX champion just as much as Pier Luc Ouellette would like to be the ROTAX champion for a second time. There's plenty of looking over shoulders, isn't there? Ouellette, Latifi, Pringle and Huttunen. Canada, Australia and Finland. And Jari Huttunen taking a different route along the straight and off the straight, and as a result just losing a fraction, I would say. Now, our television pictures suggest momentarily that Pier Luc Ouellette is putting a little bit between himself and Nicholas Latifi. Certainly Jason Pringle has all the urgency in the world wanting to go past Nicholas Latifi. Jari Huttunen off the podium as things stand at the moment, but handily poised to make a late move. Ouellette coming round. This is the complex on the infield before the straight up to Marshall Point 7. Turning left, full 180 degrees. They come into our sight here. Oh, and Latifi went very, very wide. And as a result of that, Jason Pringle says, well, if you're going to open a barn door, I'll drive through it. So Jason Pringle now into second place after that error by Latifi. Latifi is shade lucky to stay in third place as of second and not lose the fourth place to not be relegated to fourth place by Jari Huttunen. Well, that little move has meant that Jason Pringle is right underneath Pier Luc Ouellette now. Just looking who's going quickest. Jason Pringle 55.61 on the last lap. Pier Luc 55.54. Jari Huttunen 55.51, so fourth place Huttunen is the quickest of these four on the circuit. We're on lap 19 of a 21-lap DD2 Open final. Canada 1 and 3, Australia in second place. Jari Huttunen using the full width of this Allain Raceway, getting up on the curve. Oh, and a little love tap there by Jason Pringle on Pier Luc Ouellette. Nothing coming of it. But Pringle and Pier Luc Ouellette looks over his shoulder and points to his head and says, you're a nutter guy. Motor racing is dangerous. It's even more dangerous when you do things like that. Well, that's one for the clerk of the course, the race director, potentially the stewards. But hey, this DD2 Open final is coming to a cracking climax. Pier Luc Ouellette under severe pressure from Jason Pringle. This is lap 20 of a 21-lap race, 1.5 laps to go. Pringle looking very threatening. He's got to make his move within the next 1.5 laps. Make that 1.25 laps now. This is point 7 of a 9-turn track, 1,400 metres. Well, so much looking over shoulder. Ouellette pursued by Pringle. Pringle doesn't give him a little nudge this time. Nicholas Latifi in third place. Jari Huttunen in fourth. That was lap 20 completed. Last lap, the title on the line, and a little bit more contact. And Jari Huttunen playing the big gamble and trying to get into third place. I don't think it's worked. Latifi defends. Oh, and that was, well, I don't think it was, yeah, it was Latifi. Latifi driving himself to the wide outside and probably off the podium. Huttunen now in the third place slot. Pringle in the second place slot. Ouellette in the box seat. We've got half a lap remaining. The DD2 Open final has not yet been won and lost. Ouellette kicking on. This is point 7 of a 9-point circuit. 1,400 metres again, looking over the shoulder. Pringle feels he's got to give it a go here. But oh, Ouellette just closes the door, scrubs off the speed, and now it's the drag to the flag. And Pier Luc Ouellette trying to get the drive. He thinks he's won it, and he has. Pier Luc Ouellette wins it. Jason Pringle in second place, Jari Huttunen in third place. It was George Van of Estonia who came through in fourth place. Damien Ward finished fifth, Mark Murray sixth, Kyle Herder seventh, Nicholas Latifi, who looked set for a podium place, rather destroyed his hopes and eventually finishes eighth. On paper, that doesn't look very good for Nicholas Latifi. For 19.5 laps, he drove a stunningly good race. Well, he finishes 8th, Matthias de Tige of Belgium finishes 9th, and Roy Bakker of the Netherlands completes the top 10 in 10th place. A word for the last place driver who started last. Tommy Dragan of Romania, the son of Dracula, drove from 34th and last up to a finishing position of 17th. Doesn't get him many medals, but it was a good drive. Ian Young from the second back row drove himself up to 21st place. Hope you enjoyed that one. When the drivers come off the circuit, we'll give you the call over. Pier Luc Ouellette has made 2 visits to Allain Raceway for a ROTAX Grand Final and has come away the DD2 champion on each occasion. Not unbeatable. Zenderuva showed us that in the heats yesterday. But hey, when it gets to the final, when it gets to the serious business, Pier Luc Ouellette, pretty strong to say the least. Well, Pier Luc just bowing his head a little bit. Is that relief? Is that a silent prayer? Little tear, little shake of the head. Pier Luc shaking his head. You know, our television pictures on the Kart Racing Network, we're bringing you the racing, but we're bringing you the emotions as well. I think there may be a little tear underneath that helmet. Pier Luc Ouellette waves to the fans, drives off the circuit and into Parc Fermé.